Welcome to the Two Opinionated Brothers Podcast with Smart Jarvis and Big Sam. This podcast, opinions, and views are simply those of the two opinionated brothers. So don't trip.
All right, Jarvis, so the intro music has stopped. You want to be the first person to speak, so the floor is open.
Big Sam, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, Jarvis. How you feeling?
Man, I'm doing fair, I guess you could say. Had some disappointing information I received earlier today. But before I get into all that, I want to say to you, and I don't give you a lot of compliments often because you typically don't deserve them. But since we have been off the air for a while due to COVID and family issues and work, what have you, you got engaged.
I did, man. The year of F's for me.
Yeah.
Father and fiance.
And you had a son, a beautiful baby boy. So I wanted to just congratulate you on that and tell you how proud I was of you on that. First time in your life that you've done some good and positive things. And the proposal was actually beautiful, man. The whole deal was real good, and she was real excited and surprised. I recorded it, and I was going to post the video, and then I thought about it. I said, hell no. I said, because then I'm going to get the inevitable, well, when you getting married? Well, when you going to have a child? And all that type of stuff. And then on the off chance that somebody does decide to marry me, now I can't just propose at Captain D's,
Which is probably what you'll do,
Here come the pressure.
Or the ABC store.
Well, Sam had a damn dude playing a saxophone. And
did a great job, too, man.
And had champagne and a bunch of little stupid candles on the ground and all this stuff, man. And then here I am proposing with old $500 ring at the Wing Shack. So I just wanted to congratulate you, though, man. It was really a beautiful thing, man.
Well, I certainly appreciate your kind words, Jarvis. I'm still going to hand you your behind this season of Two Opinionated Brothers. I appreciate you buttering up to me as we get started. But, the facts is the facts, and it is what it is. While we're shouting out Tommy Saxophone Legend, that was the guy that actually played the saxophone.
He did a hell of a job.
He did. And I told him that every opportunity I get to call his name and promote his business, he's a great guy.
Yeah, he is, man.
Folks, check him out. All right, Jarvis, can I talk now?
Well, I guess, man. I just let you talk. What?
You let me? But we've been on the air for 2 minutes, man. And of those 2 minutes, anyway, July 17th, 2020, the year of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Do you believe in Jesus Christ?
Absolutely.
Jarvis? Okay,
He's a great man.
Okay, awesome. It's been an interesting 7 months so far this year. Whoa. Let me slow down. I see you ignored the note I hung on the door.
What note?
That said, have you been to Club 47 in the last 14 days? With this old COVID outbreak, I know you're a party animal.
Hey, man.
So I need a Club 47. Are you safe? Have you been safe the last 14 days?
Well, first off, I happen to not have been in there in the last 14 days.
Okay.
But I want to be clear. We're not going to disparage black businesses.
Of course not.
Here.
Of course not.
Because, in fact, I was talking to some people about this, and some people had, various opinions, and I saw people taking shots at Club 47 about outbreaks and things of that nature. And I got to tell you, man, I certainly don't want to be cavalier about COVID-19 because it's real, and I want people to be safe and take all the precautions necessary, particularly if you're at high risk or elderly and what have you. But I do find it interesting that it seems during this whole process, no one but the little man is being attacked and being asked to acquiesce to different rules and different policies and edicts and being forced to shut down and et cetera. Because throughout this process, I've been in again, Walmart's, Targets that have groceries, those are going to be considered essential. But I've been in Home Depot and Lowe's, other places, and it's hundreds of people in there. And they've been operating business as usual. But then we had small guys, barbershops, salons, et cetera, that have been hit very hard by this pandemic. And, my opinion is if a barbershop wants to open and cut hair, and they have individuals that are willing to patronize their business, they should be allowed to operate and should have been allowed to operate the entire time. And you can do things to be safe. You can wear gloves, change them out after every customer. You can say, hey, there's no hanging out in the lobby. We're not going to have 10, 15 people just sitting around with haircuts. Stay in your vehicle. We cut one head, he leaves, and the next person comes in. So I was very disappointed about that. But I don't like this whole thing of taking shots at particularly small black businesses during this process. If you don't feel comfortable going in the bar or any restaurant, then obviously you shouldn't do that. And you should do everything you can to keep yourself safe, regardless of if other people are taking precautions or not.
Well, of course, no one wants to take shots at or disparage any black businesses. I mean,
Good.
I said it in jest, but
Okay.
but the of
Wasn't
course,
funny.
well, it was definitely funny to me. I mean,
Yeah.
you chuckled.
I
You
didn't.
know,
I
spent a
chuckled
lot
in
of
disappointment.
spent a lot of time, in the nightlife industry, and got some very good friends still today. And I understand that that's how they earn a living, and it is a business. It's not just all fun and games. I really can appreciate that. But you mentioned that you haven't been out to bars and nightclubs, in a while. Did I hear you say that?
Well, allegedly.
Allegedly you have not.
Yeah, allegedly.
Okay.
I don't like this line of
Can you
questioning.
just answer the
I don't like
question?
this line of questioning. Get to your
Have
point.
you or have you
Can
not
you get to
been?
your point?
Have you?
Can you get to your point?
Okay,
That's
so
all I'm
clearly,
asking.
well, those who are listening and paying attention heard you say that you have not. So my question
Well, I
is,
cited
Jarvis-
one particular establishment.
Okay.
So,
All
and I
right.
said in the last
So
14
why
days.
have you not made it your okay? So why has your behavioral pattern changed when it comes to nightlife and going to places like that? Well, okay, has it changed? I'm being presumptuous. Has it changed?
I think everything's changed. It has nothing to do, in particular, with an overwhelm. Again, I want to reiterate that COVID-19, I think, is real, and it's something to be mindful of, be concerned of, and to take every precautionary measure that you can. My reason for a change in nightlife is it's no fun going to the bar and it's 5 people there.
5 people.
Yeah. I'm a.
Are you not seeing the Snapchats and the Facebook lives and not to name any names, but I seen one place and there was a casket in the floor and folks were around. And,
Yeah.
It appeared to be more than 5
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
So
I'm
that
sure it
can't
was.
be your reason,
I
Jarvis.
think that particular establishment, there was some type of annual event that they
We're
that they
discussing
have,
a number
which made
of
it so big.
people.
Well, what I'm saying,
None of that matters. You
here-
said 5 people.
Well, here's what I'm saying. That particular event, or even some of the pictures you've seen, Snapchat or whatever, where it's packed wall to wall. I don't think those are indicative of everyday operation of the clubs and bars anymore. They may have some special event or something goes on where it packs out. But I'm just saying, on a typical Wednesday night, maybe a hump day night, that you decide to go in there and socialize with some people, whereas it may normally have had 30 people or 40 people in there. You're looking at 4 or 5 people in there. So it just doesn't, it's not the same for me. I'm a social butterfly. I like to, mingle and converse and debate and have discussions with people, laugh and have a good time. So if it's only 2 or 3 people sitting in there, it's no point in me going. So, but and again, I mean, let's be honest. If even if there was a situation where I was riding by, just happened to be riding by an establishment, and I saw cars parked all around the corner and all around the building where there's no way that we would be able to social distance. I wouldn't, during these times, I wouldn't go in there. Just me being, because I know I've got family, mother and father, that are thankfully still with us. And, there's going to be times I'm going to go around them. I still have to go to work a couple of days out of the week. I'm fortunate enough to be able to work from home a couple of days out of the week, and then go in the office a couple of days a week, so we keep down the numbers. But still, I've got to go around those people, and so I want to be as safe as possible. So I wouldn't be in a place where there's 400 or 500, 600 people packed into a tight space and increase my risk of catching the virus.
Do business. So what is the if in your opinion, because this is 2 opinionated brothers.
It is.
Okay. So in your opinion, what is the responsibility of businesses in ensuring the safety of their patrons as it relates to COVID-19? I've seen images on social media of folks spraying down situations and spraying down furniture and and so on and so forth, which honestly, I really don't understand. I mean, I understand why that's happening, but I liken it unto me going and taking my vehicle, getting it sterilized, getting it washed down, and then riding down to the corner and just getting 5 random people saying, hey, guys, come on, jump in. It's okay. I just sterilized the inside of the car.
Yeah.
But again, that's steps that are being taken to, so you have to respect that.
Yeah.
But my question to you is, as a business owner, if you were a business owner, and
I am a business owner. I happen to own this podcast.
Okay, and you made that's fine. And you made the statement that if you were driving by as a civilian and you saw an establishment where you looked from the outside and you knew that there was no way that proper social distancing can be taking place inside of there, you would keep rolling.
Yes.
Right. So as a business owner, do you also see that, hey man, there's no way that proper social distancing is taking place inside of my establishment right now?
Yeah.
As a business owner, do you have some sense of responsibility?
You do.
To say, hey, this is not safe.
You do.
This is not safe.
I think you do. I think that I mean, if we because I'm big and I know you are too on personal accountability, and that's from citizens, business owners, politicians, clergymen, etc. Same thing. I would say the same thing for a church that is a large church that has a large congregation that was refusing to have online service and asking their parishioners 400, 500, 600 to come in and sit side by side during this virus. I would say you are acting irresponsibly. Same thing with a business, okay? And that's what I'm saying is that goes for large businesses too, right? So that goes for, and I'm not trying to pick on Lowe's or Home Depot, but I'm just using them as examples. That goes for them too. So you know that there's no way you're going to be able to social distance if you've got 300, 400, 500, 600 people running through your store.
In
so
Walmart?
Any store has a responsibility. But as relates to a business, let's say a bar, I absolutely think they have a responsibility as responsible citizens and responsible business owners that care about your patrons, because you should, right? If people are coming in there and spending their hard-earned money, you should care enough about them to keep them as safe as possible. So if that means providing hand sanitizers when you come in and when you sit down at every station or at the bar, what have you, you should have that. If that means spacing out chairs, not allowing you to sit at the bar, spacing out tables, then you should do that. It also means, despite your urge to maximize profit, it also means that if your facility holds 300, for example, that you should have some type of ticker that you're keeping track of the number of customers, and once it gets to a certain percentage, whatever that is, to whatever the professionals, the health officials, and the scientists are saying, if it's 50%, 40%, 30%, once you get to that number, 300 capacity, 100 are in your building, for example, then you need to cut it off. So that means if it's a line of 500 more people that are willing to pay you $10, $20 to get in,
or $100,
or $100 to get in,
yeah,
you need to be responsible enough to say, we're at capacity. I care about my customers. I'm not going to allow anybody else to come in.
Yeah, well, it'd be simple to find out. I mean, if social distancing of 6 feet, I think that's pretty much the standard.
Oh yeah,
the standard norm. Yeah. I mean, in whatever business you go in, I should be able to have at least 6 feet distance from the next patron, which is kind of the reason why you said it's not appealing to you right now.
Right.
Because who wants to go somewhere and have to stand 6 feet away from everybody? Right. So if you're not able to then practice that, then But okay. But I mean, again, I just think that's very important. Because, like I said, I mean, this thing, it is real.
It is real.
It's coming through our community, and so often we have we're hiding the fact when some of us in our community get sick.
Yeah.
We don't come forward and say,
true.
hey man, I'm sick.
That's true.
And not because not because you have to report your health, but I think it would make others aware of just how real this thing is. So we get sick, we go silent for 14 days, and we come back like nothing happened.
You're right.
You see what I'm saying?
I agree.
And so I think that, it's time that it's bad enough, like you say. I mean, and I'm a libertarian to heart. I believe that everybody should be allowed to do whatever you want to do, as long as it doesn't affect my ability to be able to live my life the way that I choose to live mine. Right. So if 600 people want to go and pack in a room and whatever, and they think they're going to be healthy, that's fine. But the problem is, on Monday morning, at 2:00 when I go to FedEx and get on the assembly line.
Yeah.
I'm standing next to individuals who may have been in that environment
Right.
over the weekend,
Right.
and I have no way of knowing. And that's not, and unfortunately, that's not a choice. I don't
Right.
have the option to say
Right.
go to work or don't go to
Right.
work.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I agree with you 100%. And a couple of things about that. One, I think that's why all the medical professionals and scientists are saying that everyone should be assuming that everyone they encounter has the virus. So that's why they're saying wear masks, social distance as much as possible, and always assume that anyone you come in contact with or cross path with is a carrier of the virus. So we should always be operating under that assumption. And then I agree with you. I think if particularly well-known individuals in our communities that captured the virus, reported it, I think that would make it more real for people that are maybe on the fence or think it's not a big deal. Because oftentimes we don't really get excited or care about an issue until it affects us personally, right?
Exactly.
Either us or a close friend or family member. So I agree with that. Now, I think there's probably the main reason people aren't doing that is because they think, real or unreal, that there's going to be a stigma behind it, right? Yeah. It's kind of like you caught the cooties and you're never going to be able to get rid of it. So now nobody wants to get around. I've had people say, I went to Rosie's the other day for lunch. Me and a good friend of mine, Big George Ball. Shout out to George Ball. And I was talking to several friends and texting, and one of them asked me where I was at or where I was eating at, and I said Rosie, and they said, oh, they had the COVID because they had a case some weeks prior. And it's like, okay, if any place ever had anyone that stepped foot in there and had COVID, now you can never go there. But one more thing I want to ask you about and get your opinion on it, because you said you're a libertarian, and I actually am too. And we're talking masks.
Face mask.
Face mask. Now you're required to wear a mask whenever you go in public and in stores and stuff like that. And I get that. I want to be clear to everybody. I think you should wear a mask because I think it's just smart to wear it, right? Better safe than sorry. Okay. I do, though, have a problem with laws being passed that says if you don't wear a mask, you're subject to fines or jail time.
Why?
Same reason I have, same two reasons that I have a problem with like a seatbelt law.
Okay.
I think everyone should wear seatbelts. It's the smart thing to do. If you're in an accident and you have your seatbelt on, you're more likely to survive that crash than you would if you didn't have your seatbelt on. So everyone should wear it. I would tell everyone, wear your mask when you go out, wear your seatbelt anytime you're operating a vehicle. But I still have a problem with those being laws where the state can now initiate a confrontation, an interaction that could lead to a confrontation, I should say, with police. One, because I think that in a free society, individuals should have the right to make a decision to say, I don't want to wear a seatbelt, even though I think it's dumb, or not. Same thing with a mask. But two, I know that any type of laws, legislations that pass, they disproportionately affect minority communities more than the majority, right? Okay. So whereas maybe a white couple is walking around the park or wherever, mall, with no mask, maybe they're stopped and said, hey guys, you need to put a mask on, and given an opportunity to leave and go get the mask or leave and not come back. And then maybe a minority is stopped and maybe they're not given that same option. Maybe it's automatically going to, we're going to write you a citation for, I think it's $500 here in Alabama. And a lot of people don't have $500 of disposable income. Yeah. Same thing with the seatbelt, right? In general, I don't think that a police officer cares whether or not I'm wearing a seatbelt, right? Because I'm not his friend or family member, so whether or not I'm hurt in an accident is kind of immaterial to him. I'm not saying that he wants people to get hurt, but what happens is you're stopped for no seatbelt, and then the first question is, do you have any drugs or weapons on you? Which is totally irrelevant to not wearing a seatbelt. If you stop me for not wearing a seatbelt, write the ticket, I think it's $20 or $30, and leave. But oftentimes those stops are used as the reason for the stop, and then we go all the way in left field, and next thing you know, somebody's maybe arrested or worst case scenario, there's a physical, some type of confrontation where somebody gets hurt or killed. So that's why I don't like those type of laws.
And I agree. As a libertarian, especially in terms of seatbelt laws, because in the event that you're in an accident and you're not wearing your seatbelt, nobody dies but you.
Correct.
So if you choose to end your life that way, or if you choose to take the risk,
right.
then that's completely up to you.
Right.
Even in terms of face masks, but the problem is that the average person, if educated properly on the effects and the benefits of wearing a face covering,
Right.
would make the decision
Right.
with at all possible to wear a face covering.
I agree.
Right? But the libertarian in me says if you choose to not wear a face covering, that's okay.
Absolutely.
But you can't come in my store.
Absolutely.
You can't come.
Absolutely.
You can't come to my job.
Absolutely.
You can't come in my store.
Absolutely.
You can't. And so that's fine. So if you choose not to wear a
Absolutely.
face covering, then you good luck finding food, groceries,
Absolutely.
gasoline.
I agree.
And so on and so forth. I don't believe. In fact, it's a slippery slope. And I made a Facebook post a while back. I thought it was pretty interesting, but I guess no one else really cared.
But
I likened it to, what if the federal government made it illegal to have unprotected sex?
Right.
In an effort to eliminate AIDS, in an effort to eliminate STIs, STDs,
Absolutely.
or whatever else.
Let me interrupt you for one moment. And I have no personal experience with this. I don't watch this, but it's just something that happened. I happen to hear about. It's been several years now. I think it was California attempted to pass a law that said anyone, porn stars, had to wear condoms. Again, I don't know this from watching porn or anything like that.
Just like you can't smoke on TV, you can't over certain. You have to be over a certain age.
Yeah.
But that is a law because they were saying,
I don't know that passed, did it?
It's movies that show smoking have a rating to where you have to be a certain
I understand
age
that.
to view
I'm
it.
saying were they able to pass a law
if I'm not mistaken, I think
that regulated the porn industry that said everyone in the porn movie has to wear
it has to be
a condom. Are you sure?
I'm
I don't think so. We'll have to look that up. We need a fact checker.
It would make sense.
We need a fact checker that can check you live.
It would make sense.
Yeah.
But
anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It makes sense. But I did hear that. I remember that was like in the
It wasn't in the 80s,
no,
Sam.
No, I wasn't just barely around it. But what I'm saying is that's been a while ago.
Yeah.
That was
it was 2000s, I believe.
Yeah, the early 2000s. That in an effort to combat AIDS and things like that. But I'm saying, I'm the very first person to say, stay out of my freedom, stay out of my home, give me the choice, to make the decisions that I want to make. But at the same time, we have to, it's not good enough to not wear a mask just because you want to say, you can't make me wear a mask.
Yeah.
So now I'm not going to wear a mask.
Yeah, that's stupid to me. That's stupid. But that goes to the political climate we're in, where the commander in chief at the top and some Republican, governors and things are, I think, ignorantly promoting this or inciting this rebellion against masks. And I think it's just, to me, it makes no sense, man. Just tell people, hey, guys, wear your mask. And because from what I'm seeing, if people would wear their masks, it would be less likely that we'd have to initiate shutdowns. Because what they're saying is if everybody's wearing masks, then we can still allow businesses to operate at some level, at some capacity, right? And significantly reduce the risk of spreading the virus. So then you can still go out to your restaurants and things of that nature. Yeah, I think it's just ridiculous. And I think it's also a sense of entitlement. I was in another restaurant, I think Logan's, and we were sitting at the bar eating. And I saw an older white couple come in, no mask. And now, they got 4 doors in the front. All of them got big signs say masks are required to come in. And then once you're seated, you can remove your mask at your table.
Yeah.
And older white couple comes in, and I'm looking at him, and I see, because the guy had told someone else, another family that came in, and they ended up having to go back to their vehicle. And he said, hey, guys, you got to wear a mask, when you come in the store, in the restaurant. And the guy, immediately pops off. Well, so you expect me to eat with a mask on? And they said, well, of course not, sir. Once you're seated at your table, you can remove your mask. So, of course, being a smart ass, he says, okay, well, we're just going to go over here and sit down, and then we're good. They said, no. And it was just funny to me that what people waste their energy on, right? Now, I agree. I understand that his suggestion is, hey, if I'm just going to be seated real quick and take my mask off, whatever. But, hey, guy, it's the rule. And guess what? The hostess at Logan's didn't make the rule, right?
Exactly.
That's your governor, right? And that's your mayor. That's enforcing that. So why are you going to waste energy arguing with those guys about that? It's just absolutely ridiculous to me, man. But I agree. People should wear masks. It makes no sense not to do it. And again, private business. That's the same conversation we've been having for years about some establishments in downtown Huntsville, like Sammy T's and things that black folks have been saying for years. I know at least since I was in college, right, early 2000s, that they are racist and they racially profile and they don't want black people or certain black people in there. They're more accommodating to black women than black men. Black men are obviously perceived to some as more of a threat, and they kind of scrutinize what you're wearing to nitpick anything they can to say you can't come in, shirt too big, ball cap, pants too big, blah 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 blah. And I know I've heard people complain about it and saying the mayor needs to do this and people need to do this, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, man, why in the hell would I force a racist or perceived racist establishment? Why would I force them to take my hard-earned money? It's a private business.
Yeah.
If they don't want black people in there, that's their deal. And I'm not gonna. I haven't lost any sleep about not being able to get inside of Sammy T's or any other restaurant downtown or establishment downtown that doesn't want me there. It's absolutely ridiculous.
See, and I think part of the reason, follow me here because I'm getting ready to say something kind of profound.
It's easy to follow you, man.
It's not illegal to be racist.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
It's not illegal to be racist.
I agree with you.
You can not like, you can hate, you can whatever. That is not illegal.
Absolutely.
What's illegal is to discriminate.
Right.
So if somebody's racist, if they don't like black people, if they want payment, that's their choice.
Right.
And then we have this idea of, we cancel, it's not illegal to be racist.
Right.
Like you said, if you know
it's
that
ignorant but not illegal.
It's not illegal. So if there's an establishment that that is not kind to, and they're not discriminating, right? We say they're discriminating, but to be discriminatory would mean that no black people can get in.
Oh, well, that's how they get by. They say at any given time you can stick your head in there, and there are some black people in there. So what I would say to our community, what I say to black folks, right, is that instead of being upset with Sammy T's for not allowing or handpicking which black folks are in there, who I think should be held accountable are any black person that goes there, because you've seen them not allow other black people to come in there. So why would you want to go there? And then also,
well, they have the right.
No.
They can go where they want to go, right?
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
Let me finish, young man.
Mm-hmm.
What we need to do is that we need to hold them accountable. For example, if I know that Sammy T's, for an example, doesn't like black people in there, yet and still you, Sam Johnson, Big Sam, continue to go into Sammy T's knowing that they don't allow me in there, but you are still willing to go in there, you and I are no longer doing a podcast together, because I question your character. I also question the character of any white friends that I have that know or see racism happening in any shape, form, or fashion, and they turn a blind eye to it. That's what I want to do.
Well,
I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to hold any white person that's accountable for going in there.
If you want to come in, if I'm in Sammy T's, turning up, getting lit, having a good time, and you want to come in, I'm going to say dress appropriately.
Well, the problem is that
no.
Dress appropriately is subjective.
That was bad. Not appropriate.
Yeah, it was.
Dress the way they want you to dress.
Well, even that is subjective.
Period.
Because what I've noticed and what I've heard many times,
if you want to come in,
many times, is that there's actually been some knuckleheads out there that have sat in front of a mirror for 30 minutes to an hour to ensure that their pants, shirt, and everything is tucked in just right, fitted just right, just to get in, and they're still turned away. So there's no rhyme or reason to what is appropriate dress.
Wait a minute.
What they're saying is
so you're telling me somebody stood in front of a mirror for an hour.
I've heard these
trying to gain admittance to Sammy T's?
There was one
Get
young
outta-
lady
get outta here,
that
man.
made
Get
a
outta-
lengthy
get
post
outta
about
here,
her. I can't remember if it was a boyfriend or fiance, and that he made sure that he was dressed appropriately and his clothes were fitted just right, and he was looking professional. He did all this, took all this energy to be dressed just right, and got up there, and he was still turned around. So
Did they give him a reason?
they said I can't remember what she said. It's typically the same thing. You're not dressed appropriately, or your shirt's too baggy, or something like that. What I'm saying
We
is,
need to reach out to that young lady and just see if we can.
I don't remember.
Okay.
It's
So
I-
what you're telling me? All of this could just be a fable. Could
No,
just
no,
be
no, no,
made
no.
up,
It's
could just be hearsay.
it's been proven by several individuals, and they've wasted the energy to go down there and record stuff and all this type of stuff. But my point is that black folks don't need to be. Now, if some essential service, if there's only one gas station in your town, and they don't let you get gas, right? And you've then got to drive 50 miles to the next gas station to get gas, then those are some things that we need to be raising hell about, because that is the gas station, getting gas or getting groceries is an essential service, right? And so those are things we got to raise hell about. But a nightclub is not an essential service. So I'm not going to waste the energy trying to force him, because even if they start letting any black person that dressed any way in there, we still know that deep down inside they don't want us there. Exactly. So then I'm going to go in there and spend $50, $100, $200 and put money in the pocket of people that don't like my kind? It's absolutely ridiculous.
But that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting to be able to go to Sammy T's.
No, we're not. That's not what I disagree.
What
we're not fighting. We're not fighting, because again, it's not illegal to be racist.
It's not.
So if I have a I don't know, if I make wedding cakes, and I say my store, my cakes, I don't want to sell cakes to white people, right? Be bad for business, yeah. Right? Because it's a lot of white folks that probably would buy your cakes if they're good. It'd be bad for business. But as a private business owner, I should have the right to do that. And then the consumer should determine if they're going to allow someone to operate in their city, in their town, that is openly racist against a certain group, right? And then if he gets customers and I'm able to keep my business open, that's fine. If not, not. No one should come in and say, hey, you must sell your cakes to this person, because that's not an essential service. Yeah. So I wouldn't be interested in forcing them to do that. So I'm not interested in forcing Sammy T's to let black people come in there. I'm going to say black people need to go to other establishments that they're welcome, and spend their hard-earned money there.
And establishment that benefit our community.
Yeah.
You know, but and not only and again, and I don't even like the idea of black owned, saying just because it's a black owned business, go spend your money there. Mm-hmm. That is assuming that all black people are invested and will reinvest into our communities. There's some black folks that take your money and be the ones inside Sammy T's.
That's true.
Where you can't get into.
That's true.
Do you see what I'm saying?
True. That's why I said I would challenge those people.
Yeah, it's some black folks that take from the community and then take.
I challenge those people. I challenge any black person, first and foremost, that continues to frequent Sammy T's when it's well known and been well known for 15, 20 years, that they do as much as they can to discriminate against black people entering their building. So I question the integrity of any black person that is, despite all that, still willing to go in that establishment and spend their money. And that goes for any other place downtown or anywhere in Huntsville, Madison, or anywhere else. So I question you.
So let's put the challenge out there. If you're a black person,
yeah,
and you frequent Sammy T's, we'd like to hear from you.
We would.
Two Opinionated Brothers.
We would. Facebook page, whatever.
Contact,
me personally,
yeah.
And again, that challenge is also to white people,
yeah.
Right? Because if you're my friend, if a white person is a friend of mine, and they're willing to continue to go into establishment that I've attempted to get in, and they told me no for some bogus reason, and they know it's based off the color of my skin, and they consider me a friend, and yet they're saying, all right, man, sorry, man, well, you going home, man, we're going to go in here and party. I question your integrity, and I question your friendship. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say is, in this age of racism and in this age of discrimination towards African Americans and other races, that it's no longer good enough for white folks to be silent.
Absolutely not. There's no in between. You're either against racism or you're for racism, right? Because if you see racism all around us, you're not stupid. Nobody around here is stupid, right? You see racism all around us. So if you're silent in it, you're complicit. That's my opinion. We got to quit playing these games about people need to be educated and educate ourselves. That's ridiculous. I saw, and this is against us. There's been Deshaun Jackson, Philadelphia Eagles, made a post. He was trying to be profound and make a point about being pro-black and supporting black people rising up and banding together and all that stuff. But he retweeted a statement that was attributed to Hitler. Hitler actually didn't make the statement, but it was attributed to Hitler. And then, Jews, of course, the Jewish community came out and they condemned it. And then he came out and apologized, which he should have, and then said he needed to be educated. BS. No one needs to be educated on Hitler, right? Everybody knows what Hitler was, what he stood for, and what he did. So you don't need to be educated on it. Same thing with racism in America. No one needs to be educated on racism existing in America. So all this people making statements and then coming back and saying, I need to be educated. No, you don't need to be educated. You messed up. So you need to take accountability for what you did, apologize, and then tell us what you're going to do to try to correct it going forward. But don't tell me you need to be educated because you know exactly what's going on. Speaking of racism, because we need to wrap this thing up, man, because I ain't ate today. As my uncle would say, I ain't it. You come over here with pork ribs and what other sides did you have? I wish you would have got me something, man. You know I ain't ate.
Well,
you don't care about that.
Not really, honestly.
Okay, that's very disappointing.
Yeah.
I see also you're drinking a beverage that you took out of my refrigerator. And you haven't left any money or any type of compensation.
Cash in society, man. I've been to 2 stores today, and all of them say cash, no cash.
Okay.
Cards on.
Yeah, they ain't taking them more coins no more.
More coins.
This works great for me because all I do is pay with a card, man. Yeah. But anyway.
But hold on. So is that okay? I'm glad you said that.
I was going to introduce a topic because I'm ready to go. I got some partying to do.
You just talked about lower income people being what was the word you used?
Disproportionately affected.
Affected.
Yeah.
Wouldn't a cashless society?
It would.
Disproportionately.
It would.
But you said it's okay with you.
Well, so what it's okay. It's okay with me. I'm not.
Don't get offensive.
No. Well, what I'm saying is, I said it was okay with me.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it's okay right for the majority.
Okay.
Right? But it's okay with me. But you're absolutely right. That's something that needs to be considered and needs to be addressed when we're making these type of decisions. Because you're absolutely right. Some people don't have checking accounts, and things of that nature. So you're absolutely right. That's something. But I don't know that it's something that I'm wanting to get into today because something happened that was very disturbing to me because I know the individual personally, and so we're gonna have to make a trip over to the North Huntsville precinct tomorrow. Good friend of mine's young son, I believe he's 19 now, works at the Wendy's over here on Sparkman Drive in Huntsville. And he closes, so I don't know. I guess they close at 12, 1 o'clock or whatever. I don't remember the time. It was late. And he was getting off work. He pulled out of the parking lot, which is the Sonics. I don't know if you're familiar with that. He's pulling out, turning left on Sparkman so he can get on the parkway and head home. They live in the Madison area. And he said he saw the police officer across the street sitting in the parking lot. But when you're not a criminal and you're not committing a crime, right, you think nothing of it. He turns on Sparkman to get ready to head home. As soon as he pulls over in the turning lane, the cop gets behind him and pulls him over. And approaches the vehicle and tells him he's being pulled over because he looks suspicious. After that, I think he said 2 or 3 other officers pulled up, and he was forced to get out of his vehicle, and they conducted a vehicle search. Of course, they asked him if he had any drugs or weapons on him. The answer is no. And they performed a vehicle search, found nothing, and then said, okay, you can go. And it's, his mother put a post about it on Facebook, and it pissed me off. And the reason it pissed me off, multiple reasons. One, it's not fair. Black and brown folks should be able to drive around, leave work, do whatever they're wanting to do, as long as they're not committing a crime or violating some traffic law, and not be profiled and deemed suspicious. Right? That's first and foremost. That's BS. And so we're going to have some questions for HPD and and the leadership there about what is suspicious, because surely they don't have a policy that says, hey, officers, if you look at someone and you deem them suspicious, you can just indiscriminately pull them over and subject them to a vehicle search. That can't be their policy, but we're going to find out. But the other thing that, before I let you go, the reason it really upset me and frightened me is that we know in our community, in minorities across this country, we want to limit the amount of interactions we have with the police, right? We want to avoid being pulled over at all costs because we know there's a higher percentage chance that things can go wrong when we're interacting with the police, right? And so the thing that's going through my head is, and she's trained him well. She's taught him to comply. Yeah. If they tell you to give your license, keep your hands up, keep them on the steering wheel, get out, let me search the vehicle. No matter how upsetting it is, how unfair it is, how degrading and demoralizing it is, your number one priority is to comply so you can get home safely, right? And then we'll fight it on the other end, which is what we're doing tomorrow, because I'm going to go up there with her. Not that she needs me, but I'm going to go up there with her because I've got some questions and concerns too, because I was pulled over before. And that goes to another thing. It's too many times that this stuff happens, we let it go, and we just brush it up as, man, that's how it is. Because I've been pulled over before one time, 10 o'clock in the morning, saying that my vehicle met the description of one that was stolen off the car lot. Landers McClarty, which is actually where I purchased my vehicle from. This particular vehicle was a higher end model that's not stored on the lot because it's an more expensive model, and it's special ordered. So they don't just sit them up there, right? and my car's got a personalized tag on it. You call it in, it links it to that vehicle. So the vehicle wasn't stolen. So, and I didn't do anything about that. I didn't go and lodge a complaint, and I should have. We need to do this more often. But it's just another example of why trust is just at a bare minimum or either non-existent with minorities in law enforcement, because you're just pulling people over indiscriminately, harassing this young kid, right? And she told me that, she told everyone on the Facebook post, but she and I have talked before, that he's been pulled over in a year and a half, 2 years that he's been driving. And this is nothing flashy about this vehicle. Not that matters. You should be able to drive a flashy vehicle. It's a little Hyundai or something, she said, no tint or anything like that. Said he's been pulled over about 11 times between Huntsville and Madison, man. Yeah. This is dangerous.
And unfortunately, I saw it too. I mean, I saw the same Facebook post. We're mutual friends. And, I want to congratulate this young man. I don't know his name, but any young man in this, day and age that can survive being a young black African-American male, can survive 11 interactions, unwarranted from what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
Unwarranted
I think she said 2 times he was issued a ticket for speeding.
Okay.
So,
hey,
you're speeding. I got no problem with that. If you're speeding and you're pulled over, I got no problem with that.
But unfortunately, we live in a day and time where even if you're speeding, it could mean a death sentence for you.
Absolutely.
You drive, driving under the influence of alcohol can mean a death sentence for you. So the fact that this young man was able to, like you said, comply and then make it home. Yeah. Now it's our responsibility as a community to now go and fight for him.
Absolutely.
And if nothing else, bring awareness to him and to the officer. If we need to call that officer's name.
Oh, absolutely.
The officer that stopped him.
I'm telling you right now, when I'm going with her, going with her, and I plan on giving a detailed rundown of the interaction that we had, the complaint that was filed. We're going to ask for follow-ups. The officer, he's an officer of the state. He's an employee. His information should be disclosed. The young man didn't ask for a name. She told me, she said she was, a little disappointed that he didn't ask for the name. And I said, well, no. I said, first off, HPD should know who's patrolling where, it'll be easy to find. Yeah. But second off, I said,
they had to run his information.
Yeah, well,
some offers.
Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. We don't know. That's what I'm saying. I also want to know, is there a record of this interaction? Yeah. Right. So there should be a record. There should be a record of this interaction. If not, that's going to be a whole nother issue. Yeah. But then also, you got to think, a young kid or an old guy like me, you're so nervous and shell shocked about the interaction. you don't want to ask any questions, because then maybe he asks, "Can I have your name?" And then maybe that turns into something else.
Escalates it,
Yeah. So hey, man, just survive the interaction and get home, and then we'll fight for you. So the message I want to put out to our community is, whenever you have interactions, negative interactions, I ain't talking about you running around here speeding and you get pulled over and get a ticket, or you're pulled over for something that you shouldn't have been doing, changing lanes without signaling, no matter how minor it is, and then you start going off and cussing and acting a knucklehead to the officer. That's not, even though it shouldn't escalate to some of the things we've seen it escalate to, right? There's a charge for resisting arrest, right? And you get the charge, you pay the fine, you do whatever the jail time. Doesn't mean you should have a knee on your neck for 9 minutes and die, right? But what I want to encourage everyone is, don't let these things just be the norm. Anytime you have a negative interaction, if you think you've been racially profiled, report it. Go down to the precinct and report it. Keep a track of, dates and times, which officers, who you talk to, etc. If you're uncomfortable going down to the police department, reach out to leaders in the community that will be here to help you and that will be willing to go down there with you. Or maybe you don't, whatever you need, whatever coaching, whatever support you need, reach out to people in the community that can go down there and help you, because we don't have to stand for this. We're paying taxes and paying the salary of officers, and they're here to serve and protect, not to harass and intimidate. And so this stuff has got to stop. And we need the good officers, because we always hear the overwhelming majority of officers are good officers. I'm not in a position to dispute that one way or the other, because I don't, I can't magically snap my finger and say, hey, well, these officers are good and these are bad. But what we know is that if you're complicit in behavior, or if you're silent in the face of injustice, that doesn't make you a good person, a good citizen, or a good officer, right? So this complaint, we expect it to be taken serious when we go in there tomorrow. We expect a follow-up, and we expect things to be done and changes to be made, training or whatever, to tell officers, hey, we're not going to have people coming up here saying they were pulled over because they look suspicious.
And in reality, I would rather see, the day after a Facebook post that said, hey, I was stopped unfairly, illegally, and this is my report that I got from the HPD this morning saying that I went down and filed my incident. Then you being shot in the street, strangled, dead, or even if you're not arguing back and forth.
No, we don't need that.
And putting your life in danger trying to prove a point on the street.
Absolutely. Don't do it.
I really think if we're going to start a campaign, let's start a campaign of us posting, going downtown or going to the North Precinct, wherever it is you go. Madison, and say, hey, man, this is the paperwork. This is the officer, so-and-so and so-and-so, stop me at this time, because it brings awareness.
Absolutely.
Because when I'm riding through Madison, driving while black, and officer so-and-so stops me, now we've got two posted records of officer so-and-so.
Absolutely. We can keep our own records. We keep our own records of what officers are out here harassing and profiling officers, and then we can use that to build a case. You're absolutely right.
And make those things go viral rather than us trying to prove a point because we're going to shout down the police, argue the law, argue the Constitution, and things
makes
like
no sense.
that, which even
you're in a lose-lose situation. Even if you win the argument, you lose the overall war, particularly if you end up roughed up or dead, right? What good does it do that you stood up to a racist cop, right, if he happened to be one? What good did it really do us if you stood up for against the cop and then he ended up killing you? You're gone now. Now, we're going to fight like hell and raise hell and do whatever we can on this side, but you're gone now. So we can't have that. So, I'm curious to see what's going to happen. And other thing that really upsets me, man, before we go, is because these encounters, not only does it erode confidence in police, if there's any confidence even still lingering with minorities, but it also inconveniences the citizen. Because now she's got to call and try to take off work to go up here and file a complaint. Now, how many people are in a position to do that? I'm fortunate to where tomorrow I'm going to be able to send an email that says I'm going to handle a civil matter and I'm going to be offline for X amount of hours. But a lot of our people in our community and just across this country in general, we always say our community because that's our main focus. But 50% of the country is under the poverty line or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And so the average American can't tell their job or their boss, hey, I need 2-3 hours off of work to even go vote, let alone to say I need to go file a complaint against my son or daughter being harassed, right? How many people would want to do that and their boss tell them, oh, no, we can't allow you to do that. Just it's glad it's over. Just we need you. We really need you working. Or, yeah, you can leave, but we're going to have to give somebody else your hours, or it's going to have to be unpaid, or you're going to have to be rolled up because you left work.
Or
right?
It could cost you your job.
Right.
Getting stopped on the way to work, causing you to be 15 or 20 minutes
could
late.
Cost someone a job. You're absolutely right.
Could cost somebody their job,
right, man. This stuff has got to stop, man.
Yeah.
So
and that's interesting, and I know we're out of time, but but going into I guess something to be thinking about, maybe going into the next podcast. That brings us to the whole idea of defunding the police and overall, what do we think needs to be done, and how do we correct this, and there's a lot of different opinions out there regarding that. I'm gonna give you the spotlight, Jarvis. Something that I thought, I see you wearing that old X. I'm assuming that's the answer, Malcolm X or Rated X.
It'd be Malcolm X.
Malcolm X.
I'm rated G.
Okay, all right. I'm just asking. Something.
Don't insult my family.
Something that I assumed you would have done at the beginning. I'm gonna let you give a shout out to. We lost a great man on Friday evening. Yeah. Congressman John Lewis.
John Lewis. We also lost Reverend C.T. Vivian, who was instrumental in the civil rights movement as well. But yeah, John Lewis. I actually made a post about him. I have his book over there, and I posted his book. But they're trying to start a petition to get the Edmund Pettus Bridge, which was named after a KKK member and Confederate general. I think he was a general. He was a Confederate soldier. I think he may have been a general, racist, and we know the whole nine. And they're trying to make a push to have it named after him, or at least get his name down and go from there. I think that John Lewis is synonymous with the Edmund Pettus Bridge and Bloody Sunday, so I think it would be appropriate to name him. But and we'll get into these statues and monuments being taken down another podcast. But yeah, I want to say, just an icon in our movement, man. And speaking, let me just say this, man, before I go. You know what really pisses me off? This is reference Lewis and other greats, ancestors in civil rights movement. Sometimes I see these shirts and memes and posts about in reference to some racist white person saying, and they say we're not our ancestors. I hate that, because it's almost as if we're demeaning the methods that our ancestors took, meaning nonviolent and things of that nature. And to me, that is just a despicable way of looking at it. The reason we're able to be more emboldened today is because of the sacrifices and the efforts of people like John Lewis, King, and others, right? And so we need to say, more appropriately, it would be because of the sacrifices of our ancestors, we're able to be more emboldened and not tolerate the type of things that maybe they were forced to tolerate. See, because it's real easy for us to talk trash now when we weren't alive in the 60s, when people were getting lynched and kidnapped and cross burned on their yard, and you go out and somebody says you looked at a white woman and you get kidnapped and you get killed. It's real easy to be tough now when those things are highly unlikely to happen, right? So we need to be careful of the type of commentary that we put out in the social spheres, particularly when we're referencing people that deserve the honor, respect, and deference as a great man like John Lewis. And I'll say this too, and he's the commander in chief. To my knowledge, as of this morning, still hasn't put out anything. Not even a condolence to the family. The vice president put something out, but that's not good enough. When a civil rights icon and a member of Congress, right, since I think 83 or 6 or something like that, passes away, the commander in chief, regardless of them having a tumultuous relationship and not getting along, as he doesn't get along with many or any of the black politicians, you need to put out something. It's just unbecoming of the office, in my opinion, that you're not going to say something, at least a condolence to the family. So, but anyway, rest in power to the great John Lewis, C.T. Vivian, and all the other heroes that we stand on the back of. And we'll talk some more about this stuff on the next podcast because I really got some things to do.
Yeah, writing in. I don't know when it was done, but I did hear writing in. I was listening to the radio and I did hear that. I don't know what platform it was on, but Trump had made a statement commemorating his service and
when was this?
Ordering the flags to be lowered to half mast today.
It just happened today.
Well,
okay.
I said I don't know when it was done. I heard it on the radio today coming in, and I just want to say, I never had opportunity to meet John Lewis. He was very approachable because a lot of people that I know personally did get a chance to meet him, but he did come. I got a chance to hear him speak in 2015. He came to the Oakwood University Church, and it kind of makes me emotional because very few people have the passion of sacrifice and of selflessness.
Right.
Like you said, it takes a lot to, and like you said, and for people today, we have this false sense of security in that, we are, but we don't understand the people that got beat.
Yeah.
So that we could have Twitter, access to Twitter, and so on and so forth. So, all right. So, like you said, rest in peace, John Lewis, and all of those who come before us. It's been great. We got a couple of challenges out there. Let's reiterate those. We challenging anybody who is African American and you are frequenting Sammy T's. They allow you in. We like to hear from you. We like to know how and why you get in, number one.
Yeah. What is it about you that's allowing them to let you in and all these other black folks ain't able to get in?
Yeah, and number two, why do you feel that it is right that there are others that we feel are being discriminated primarily based on their color, disguised as dress? Do you feel that it's right for them to be denied access and you are given access? And then the second one was
report any incident, inappropriate contact, racial profiling, harassment, bullying, intimidation, whatever it is. We need to start reporting these incidents, and we need to keep our own log, right? Go down there and we've got all these social media platforms and these different pages where we keep up with stuff, businesses supporting black businesses, and check on your folks and all this type of stuff that we're putting different stuff out there. We need to start filling them up and flooding social media with these incidents, and we need to report them, report the times, dates, police departments, officers' names, who you reported it to, what they told you was going to be the outcome, so we can follow up and make sure that people are being held to account. Because anyone that's getting paid by taxpayers, their salary is getting paid by taxpayers, they need to be held to account. As a federal employee, I'm held to account. I can't just be popping off the mouth saying things that are inappropriate or un-American. I can't just be on the government's time talking about political stuff or making demeaning marks about the United States of America or the commander-in-chief. Everybody's got to be held to account, right? Including police officers, including teachers, including citizens, right? Citizens have a responsibility not to commit crime and to report crimes when they're occurring, right? And to be cooperative if they've witnessed a crime so it can be solved. And then the police have a responsibility to serve and to protect, to be professional with their interaction with people, to de-escalate situations, and to not harass, bully, intimidate, or profile. Simple as that. All right, we're out of here.
All right. Well, we want to thank you guys for listening to Two Opinionated Brothers. We invite you to follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Our podcast is available. We're going to be broadcasting every Sunday evening.
Every Sunday or whenever I get in the mood to talk about some
Folks,
stuff.
every Sunday evening at the latest Monday morning. We look for new content. We're going to make a commitment every week to make sure that we're bringing you our opinions on these topics. Until next.
And last thing before we go, there's going to be some photos coming, and based off these photos, you're going to see who takes this podcast serious and who doesn't, who's professional and who doesn't. I mean, I've never seen anybody dressed like this.
I plan to take a photo today.
We're taking one right now, and I've never seen somebody come in here dressed this inappropriately for a professional podcast.
I'm an American.
Okay.
Until next time.